Welcome to the deep dive. So, you're out there, a scientist founder, you're deep in the tech world, you've
Hmm.
got this incredible idea, maybe something really game changing.
Right, something revolutionary.
But here's the tricky part, isn't it? How do you get others on board? We're talking investors, potential partners, the team you want to build, even the media.
Yeah, especially when you don't exactly have, that formal authority yet. No big title, no corner office.
Exactly. It's influence without authority, pretty much. A real tightrope walk.
It absolutely is. You're leading with your vision, with the science, not rank.
Yeah.
And drawing on insights from Dr. Ari Masudi, who's an expert in deep tech marketing. He really stresses this need for a more subtle approach to influence,
Yeah, subtle but powerful. It's about stepping outside the lab a bit, isn't it? Understanding people.
understanding what makes them tick, yeah, human motivation.
Right. Because we think about figures like, Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Richard Branson. They weren't just tech geniuses or business gurus.
No, they were master influencers.
Yeah.
They could sell a vision like nobody else, get people really excited.
Totally. They got people to commit their time, their money, their talent, and that's really what we're digging into today.
That's the core of it.
So, our mission for this deep dive. And look, if you're a scientist founder, you probably should accept this mission.
Definitely.
Is to give you some real practical strategies, ways to gently guide people to make your deep tech dream a shared reality.
And we're leaning heavily on Dr. Masudi's work here. He's seen this play out in the deep tech space time and time again. He's got these frameworks that are, well, they're really insightful.
More than just making a good case with data.
Exactly. He talks about two big ones we'll explore, the Law of Reciprocity
Okay.
and something called the Cohen-Bradford model.
Cohen-Bradford, right? Sound like we're getting some serious tools for the toolkit.
Pretty much. Tools to navigate what's often a bit of a cultural and social adventure, this whole entrepreneurship thing.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
So what should we tick off? Reciprocity.
Yeah, let's start there. The Law of Reciprocity. Dr. Masudi really hammers this home. It's fundamental. Influence, he argues, often starts with giving.
Being first.
Giving value, providing something useful before you even think about asking for something back. It's about setting up a kind of win-win from the start.
Okay, so it's strategic giving, not just random acts of kindness. Those are nice too.
Well, yeah, it's strategic in the sense that you're building a foundation,
Hmm.
but the value has to be real. Dr. Masudi points out, what kind of value can a scientist founder offer?
Right. What does that look like practically?
It needs to be relevant, obviously.
Mm.
So for investors, maybe you share some early, non-confidential research insights. Show your depth.
Okay, demonstrate expertise.
Exactly. For potential partners. Maybe it's offering a connection, someone in your network who could help them, even if it doesn't directly benefit your project right away.
Ah, interesting. Paying it forward, almost.
Sort of.
Mm.
Or even just offering some really thoughtful feedback on something they're working on. It builds goodwill, shows you're engaged.
So you're making deposits in what Dr. Masudi calls a relationship bank account.
That's the phrase he uses, yeah. Build up that balance of trust, of positive feeling, without needing an immediate withdrawal. It's about the long game.
Not just quid pro quo, transaction by transaction.
Precisely. Dr. Masudi is clear. Strong, influential relationships, the kind you need in deep tech, they aren't built on purely transactional stuff. It takes time, consistent effort, a real willingness to contribute.
Showing you're part of the ecosystem, not just looking out for number one.
You got it.
And Dr. Masudi brings this alive with the Dropbox example, right? That really shows reciprocity in action.
Oh yeah, classic example he uses. So early Dropbox, they didn't have huge marketing budgets.
Right.
So what did they do? They offered users extra free storage space
I remember that.
for every new person they referred who signed up. Simple, tangible value.
Yeah, you got something, you actually wanted more space.
Exactly. The existing user wins, gets more storage, and Dropbox. Boom. Exponential growth, mostly organic. Their users became their best salespeople.
Because they got value first. A perfect win-win.
Textbook reciprocity in the tech world, according to his analysis.
So for our listeners, the scientist founders, the takeaway here, drawing from Dr. Masudi, is think. What value can I offer first? What insights, connections, expertise do I have that my key stakeholders would genuinely appreciate?
Exactly. Put yourself in their shoes. And that idea ties directly into the next concept Dr. Masudi emphasizes, exchange. But specifically, thinking about the invisible currency of influence.
Invisible currency. Like social currency.
That's the term he uses, yeah, social
Right.
currency. Recognizing that different people value different things, it's not always about the money.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Investors, sure, they want financial returns. That's a big currency for them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But Dr. Masudi points out, what about that brilliant engineer you're trying to recruit?
Right, maybe they want a challenge.
Exactly. The currency for them might be tackling a really hard, cutting-edge technical problem, or the impact, working on something that genuinely matters.
Or for a potential partner, maybe it's access to your tech or a new market.
Synergy, yeah. Access to innovation.
Yeah.
Recognition in their field could be another one, being part of that exciting vision you have. These are all powerful social currencies.
So as founders, we need to become like currency detectives.
Hmm,
Figure out what really motivates the people we need to influence.
that's a good way to put it. And Dr. Masudi advises that once you have a sense of their currency, you tailor your pitch,
Adapt the message.
adapt the message, the framing, connect with their motivations. And critically, he says, balance the logic, the data, the ROI, the tech specs.
The stuff we're probably comfortable with as scientists.
Right. Balance that with the emotional connection. Tell the story. Make them feel the potential, the impact.
Head and heart. Got it. Not just the science, but the why. And Dr. Masudi suggests blending these approaches.
Absolutely. You need the solid business case. The numbers have to add up.
Mhm.
But Dr. Masudi argues that might not be enough to really spark that commitment. You need that compelling narrative, that vision that makes people lean in and say, wow, I want to be part of that.
And the Elon Musk SpaceX example Dr. Masudi uses fits perfectly here, doesn't it, with social currency?
Oh, it's a prime example he often cites. Think about it. SpaceX engineers,
Yeah.
they're not necessarily the highest paid in aerospace. The hours are famously tough,
Right?
yet they attract top talent. Why? Because the social currency Musk offers, according to Dr. Masudi, is huge. The chance to work on colonizing Mars.
Yeah. That's a pretty big mission.
It's historic. It speaks to a certain kind of ambition, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. And that's a currency many deep tech ventures have intrinsically, right? That potential for massive impact.
That's a really powerful point. Motivation is complex. Okay, so we've got reciprocity, understanding currency. What about building broader support? Alliances. Dr. Masudi talks about that too.
He does. Super critical in deep tech, he argues. It's a complex ecosystem. You need allies.
Friends in high places or just helpful places.
Exactly. And influence here isn't just about winning over individuals one by one. It's also about mobilizing the people already on your side.
Leveraging your network.
Right. Calling in favors, building on past collaborations. But Dr. Masudi also talks about something maybe trickier, turning potential adversaries into partners.
Ooh, okay. Turning resistance into collaboration. How does
Mhm.
that work?
Well, often, as he explains, it comes down to finding that shared interest, that mutual benefit, even if it's not obvious at first.
Like finding common ground.
Precisely. He gives an example. Maybe you're hitting a wall with a university over IP rights.
Yeah, that happens.
Instead of fighting, maybe you offer them a share of future patent royalties. Suddenly you have a shared incentive. That hesitant institution might become a key ally.
Finding the win-win, even when things start off looking adversarial.
Clever.
And who does Dr. Masudi point to as a master alliance builder?
Reid Hoffman, LinkedIn co-founder.
Makes sense.
Networking.
Networking guy.
Totally. Dr. Masudi highlights how Hoffman systematically built his Silicon Valley network. It wasn't accidental. He focused on those reciprocal connections, constantly offering help and value. So when he needed backing for LinkedIn, that network was ready.
It all comes back to that reciprocity thing again, doesn't it? Even at a macro level.
It really does seem to be a foundational principle in his view. Now, he also touches on something else, quite interesting. Cultural differences in influence.
Oh, how culture affects these principles.
Drawing on Dr. Cialdini's research, it seems the order of importance for influence principles isn't universal.
Okay. And the example Dr. Masudi uses involves France and reciprocity, which sounds counterintuitive.
It really does. But according to Dr. Masudi's writ of the research, for the French, even entrepreneurs, reciprocity ranks last among Cialdini's principles.
Last. Wow. Any idea why?
He speculates it might be linked to cultural factors, maybe the history of a strong welfare state creating a different sense of entitlement or expectation. Complex.
Huh. That's fascinating. And super relevant for founders looking at international partnerships. You can't just assume your standard playbook will work everywhere.
Exactly. It's not about stereotyping, Dr. Masudi warns, but about being aware, being sensitive to these potential cultural nuances to communicate more effectively, build better bridges.
Good advice.
Okay.
Okay, so we've got reciprocity, exchange currency, alliances, cultural awareness. What about that second big framework Dr. Masudi mentioned? Cohen-Bradford.
Right, the Cohen-Bradford model. This one's more of a structured step-by-step process for influence, especially when you lack that formal power.
Actionable steps? Good. What's the core idea?
The central idea, as Dr. Masudi interprets it, is that pretty much anyone can become an ally.
Anyone, even competitors.
Potentially, yes. If you
Yeah.
genuinely try to understand their world, their needs, their motivations, their constraints.
Okay, sounds promising. Let's break down those steps from Dr. Masudi's perspective. First one, everyone can be an ally. How do we actually do that?
It starts with curiosity, he emphasizes. Ask questions. Really listen to understand where they're coming from. And try hard to drop your preconceptions.
Don't judge too quickly.
Exactly. Even that company you see as a direct competitor might, in some specific context, be a potential partner if you find an area where your needs align.
And the example Dr. Masudi uses for this is Apple and Samsung.
Yeah. Fierce rivals in the smartphone market, right?
Totally.
But Apple relies heavily on Samsung to manufacture key components, screens, chips. It's a pragmatic alliance. Mutual need overrides the competition in that specific area.
Shows you need to look beyond the surface rivalry. Keep an open mind.
Hmm.
Okay, step one, assume alliance potential. What's step two in the model, according to Dr. Masudi?
Step 2 is prioritize your objectives.
Okay, focus.
Yeah, be smart about what you're asking for and when. Dr. Masudi suggests maybe starting small. Ask for something easier to get agreement on first.
Build momentum. Get some small wins.
Exactly. Build trust, show it works. Then you can move to the bigger asks. And tied to this is flexibility. He talks about being willing to sacrifice ego for efficiency.
Give a little to get a lot.
Precisely. Don't die on every hill. Concede on the less critical points if it helps you secure the main goal. Keep your eye on the prize.
Makes sense. And the illustration Dr. Masudi uses is Jeff Bezos focusing Amazon on AWS.
That's the one. Bezos made a huge bet on AWS, pouring resources into it, even if it meant cutting back on other, maybe less promising projects.
Laser focus.
Total focus. And look at AWS now for deep tech startups, often juggling limited resources. Dr. Masudi stresses that this kind of ruthless prioritization is absolutely crucial.
You can't do everything. Focus matters. Okay, step three.
Step 3. Diagnose each other's world. This goes deeper than just understanding their currency.
More empathy.
Yeah, deep empathy. Dr. Masudi says you need to really dig into their internal situation. What are their KPIs? What pressures are they under from their boss or their board?
Seeing the world from their desk, basically.
Exactly. Understand their constraints, their goals within their own organization. Dr. Masudi even suggests, if possible, doing some shadowing.
Shadowing, like spend time with them.
If you can, yeah. Spend a day or even a few hours in their environment. See their challenges firsthand. Maybe a founder spends time with a potential industrial partner's R&D team.
Get a real feel for their reality. That's practical. And the example is Salesforce.
Right. Salesforce famously gets its developers talking directly to customers, sitting in meetings, hearing the problems firsthand.
So they build what's actually needed.
Exactly. Deep understanding leads to better solutions and better partnerships.
Okay, makes sense. Diagnose their world. And the final step in Cohen-Bradford via Dr. Masudi.
Final step brings us back full circle, really. Identify and exchange currencies.
Okay, putting that social currency idea into action.
Right. Actively map out what different stakeholders might value. And Dr. Masudi gives some great deep tech specific examples. Things like learning opportunities, visibility through publications, the social impact angle, potential for a big exit down the line, access to unique equipment or networks.
This is a wide range.
It is. And the key, Dr. Masudi says, is then to find the winning combos. Create those exchanges that work for both sides.
Like, maybe offer co-authorship on a paper for access to a lab?
Perfect example. Or early access to your tech for strategic investment. Find that mutually beneficial trade.
Get creative with the exchange. And the case study here is Richard Branson again.
Yep. Branson's famous for offering media exposure on his Virgin platform.
Right, visibility.
In exchange for equity in startups. He's exchanging visibility currency for financial currency, essentially, aligning interests.
Smart. Okay, so the Cohen-Bradford model gives a really practical roadmap. But Dr. Masudi also warns about potential pitfalls when trying to influence, doesn't he?
He does. Definitely things to watch out for. One big one he flags is confirmation bias.
Hearing what you want to hear.
Pretty much. Right. We all tend to seek out info that confirms what we already believe and ignore stuff that challenges it. Dr. Masudi says you have to fight that. actively listen to objections.
Treat pushback as valuable data.
Exactly. It can make your idea, your pitch, stronger. Don't just dismiss criticism.
Crucial point, especially when you're passionate about your tech. What else?
Another pitfall Dr. Masudi highlights is confusing the personal with the professional.
Letting ego get in the way.
Yeah. You've got to separate your need for personal validation from the strategic goals. Sometimes achieving the objective means swallowing your pride a bit.
It's not about you being right. It's about getting the project moving.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And Steve Jobs, for all his intensity, apparently learned this lesson with the Pixar acquisition by Disney.
How so?
He had his frustrations, but he ultimately focused on the strategic goal, getting the deal done in a way that worked for both sides, setting aside some personal issues for the bigger win.
Interesting. Okay, one more area Dr. Masudi touches on. The tricky subject of negative exchanges, like threats.
Yet this is definitely proceed with extreme caution territory. He acknowledges that very, very rarely, maybe as an absolute last resort,
When nothing else has worked.
you might feel you have to mention potential negative consequences to break a stalemate. But he heavily emphasizes the huge risk.
You could burn bridges permanently.
Easily. Damage trust, maybe irreparably. So it's really a last resort.
But if you are in that corner, is there a less damaging way to approach it, according to him?
He suggests if you must go there, try to combine threat and opportunity.
Okay, how does that work?
So instead of just saying, if you don't do X, then Y bad thing happens.
His ultimatum.
Right. Frame it more like, look, without X happening by this deadline, we unfortunately face consequence Y, which hurts us all. But if we can achieve X with your help, we unlock opportunity Z, which benefits everyone.
So you're still pointing towards the positive outcome, the shared goal, even while outlining the downside of inaction.
Exactly. It keeps the door open for collaboration, ideally. And Dr. Masudi points to Satya Nadella's shift at Microsoft as an example of moving away from confrontation.
Towards more win-win.
Precisely. Nadella fostered a much more collaborative culture, less internal fighting, more focus on partnership. And that's widely seen as key to Microsoft's renewed innovation and success. It shows the power of positive influence over the long run.
That makes a lot of sense. So, pulling all these threads together, Dr. Masudi's insights really paint a picture of the successful deep tech founder as more than just a scientist.
Absolutely. You have to be a strategic influencer, too.
Gentle influence, as he puts it, built on giving value first.
Understanding what others really need, their currencies.
And structuring those win-win exchanges.
Yep. Using frameworks like reciprocity and the Cohen-Bradford model lets you turn that potential resistance into collaboration. Just like the leaders we talked about, Musk, Branson, Nadella, they figured out how to align people's individual motivations with the bigger goal.
And that's the secret sauce, maybe. Recognizing it's all fundamentally about people.
Dr. Masudi certainly seems to think so. The tech is crucial, obviously, but making it happen is a human endeavor. You need to navigate those relationships skillfully.
Okay, so for everyone listening, especially you scientist founders, here's the call to action, straight from Dr. Masudi's playbook. Start today. Ask yourself this. What's genuinely valuable to my top 3 allies, my key stakeholders?
Really think about their currencies. And once you've got some ideas, brainstorm. What can you offer them right now or soon to start building that relationship bank account? Remember, influencing, as Dr. Masudi reminds us, it's about co-building.
Co-building. Love that. And here's a final thought for you to mull over, really pushing on that idea of social currencies from Dr. Masudi. Think beyond the obvious, beyond the money, beyond the equity. What about those intangible currencies, the vision, the recognition, the learning, the impact? Which of those, maybe the ones you haven't focused on, could unlock unexpected doors and really accelerate your deep tech venture? Explore those less obvious motivators. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.